Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the final game of the regular season, and with it, a ton on the line for the Dallas Cowboys and plenty of other teams in the NFC, which we'll talk about momentarily. But before we dive into this fully, if you could do me a favor and like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, especially hit the subscribe button, because I have noticed that over 90% of you guys watching are not subscribed. So if you are loving the content that you're seeing and you keep coming back, why not hit the big red button, subscribe, and stick around for more? Now, with all that being said, the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Commanders has a massive amount of implications for not only Dallas, but the rest of the conference. And here's why. If Dallas is to win, really it falls on the shoulders of both Philadelphia and San Francisco, which both teams play at the same time Dallas does, because the NFL is looking to make sure that guys aren't resting and this, that, and the third. Now with that, I understand that there has been talk of the town that Brian Daboll is going to be sitting guys. And with that, that means that most likely you will see Philadelphia win the number one seed in the conference. But there's a couple implications that come with that. And so, who knows? A lot can happen. So let's first start off with the game itself. What are the Cowboys going into here with, and what are we looking to see? Well, we know for a matter of fact the Dallas Cowboys are looking to get better regular season-wise than last season. You know, hey, going to 13-4 when you were 12-5 last year is a hell of an accomplishment. So to see that happen is great, but more importantly, to gather more momentum. The Dallas Cowboys, as we've seen over the past couple of games, have started to get a whole lot of momentum. Beating Philadelphia on Christmas Eve, beating the Titans, then beating Washington. I'm not saying those games are super impressive, but the Cowboys offensively have been putting up points, and their defense has been getting a lot of takeaways. And that's really big going into this playoffs, that we're starting to see who the Cowboys might face and all that other stuff, right? Now, the big thing is we're hearing that Washington's going to be starting Sam Howell, the rookie quarterback that they drafted. And while I did like what I saw from him in college, I don't think at the moment it's going to be a whole lot for Washington. I don't see them putting up that big of a fight, but I think that Dallas will put up enough to win themselves the game. I'm not looking at this as a whatever happens, win or loss. It's more so you need to play clean football and start getting into a rhythm. Because, remember, the Dallas Cowboys, odds are they played their last home game back on Christmas Eve. Now, unless Philadelphia loses and the Dallas Cowboys win, Dallas is going to be going on the road to play Tampa Bay in the wild card round, right? So, with these scenarios, okay, the Dallas Cowboys, if they wish to win the NFC East, win and hope Philadelphia loses, and you would be the number 2 seed in the conference, unless San Francisco also loses, which would result in Dallas jumping them for the number 1 spot in the conference, and they would be off wild card weekend. And with that, you would be sending Philadelphia on the road to take on Tampa Bay, and then you would have San Francisco stuck as the number 2 seed in the conference at that point in time. Now look, there is a lot at stake here, and I think that for what we've had dialogue-wise, it's important that the Cowboys do play their guys. You know, we've talked about, okay, do they get the momentum? Do they rest guys? After that Titans scare with what happened in that game, I was like, you know what? Let's just rest our guys. F it. Let's just get healthy. But now that we have at play the division, you have to play your guys. I know that many people will disagree. Some will agree. But at the end of the day, if you have an opportunity to improve your playoff seeding, especially with the fact of the matter being you could get a home playoff game, in fact, 2 at minimum, assuming you win the first matchup, why would you not try for that? And who knows, guys, a lot can happen. And I would be shocked. I do not think Philadelphia is going to lose. I do not think they will lose. But if they do, oh my goodness. Like, that is unbelievable to say the least. Because the last time that such a situation happened was back in 2014. They were well in the control of their destiny. Dallas kind of had to put together some wins to stay alive. And they did. And they won it at the buzzer, and this has a chance to happen once again, especially with how the narrative has been. If Dallas does, in fact, win the NFC East, that is such an emotional high, even regardless of how the remainder of that game goes against Washington. So I understand but there's a lot on the line. Now, in terms of schematically what we're looking to do, I think the biggest thing is we need to see this offensive line play very, very cohesive. The biggest problem has been with Terrence Steele going out. We kind of had the idea of, okay, we're going to plug and play these guys, and we're going to hope things work out. And then Tyler Biadasz got hurt. Ooh, boy, like that definitely made things very, very tough. But the key thing is health, okay? And I would say for the Cowboys, that would be their number one priority. But you never know. You could have backups get hurt. You can have starters get hurt. Anything can happen in this league. So I think the biggest focal point is getting healthy at the right time. And hopefully we don't have any issues, but knock on wood if you can hear that. I'm really hoping that we don't have any setbacks, because right now we're slated to get, and we've talked about this in the previous video, we talked about LVE coming back. We talked about the idea of getting Tyler Biadasz quicker than we thought, and then getting Jonathan Hankins back. Those are huge additions for the Cowboys, because defensively, with the loss of LVE, the Cowboys got cooked in Jacksonville. I think that if LVE doesn't get hurt, we're talking about how the Cowboys have the number one spot, and they're on their way to winning it this week. Now, again, coulda, woulda, shoulda, however you want to place it, it doesn't matter. At this point, Dallas has to be ready for anything. I think that Dallas has shown, compared to last season, they are not just like, oh, you know what, guys, we're all good. We're just going to kind of run through this. We're going to win these games without trying. I think that Dallas has been relatively challenged at some moments, and other times they've done the bare minimum to win games. But the thing is that they have the rest of the NFC East holding them up to a higher standard to where they must play better. So there's the narratives ongoing that the Cowboys will go into Tampa and lose. And I'm telling you, I'm not a fan of playing Tom Brady in the postseason because of the bullshit that can happen there. And I'm not saying it's rigged. I'm not saying this, that, or a third. But I have, and I will state this myself, and I'm not trying to be super conspiracy theorist. I have said that the NFL loves to build ratings, and that is going to be ratings galore. The Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott taking on Tom Brady and the Bucs. I think that's probably going to be the most watched wild card game of the entire postseason, right, of that weekend. And so with that, I will say this. The Dallas Cowboys need to get themselves right and ready for Tampa Bay. I do not give a damn about how this game ends. If it's a win or a loss, like even if we're 13-4 and things go their way and they win the NFC East, we then have to wait to see who the Cowboys will face in the wild card if they do win the NFC East, because if Seattle wins, then Detroit is knocked out and they can try to knock out Green Bay, because Green Bay is a win and in. They have the easiest scenario for them, and then we're setting up a date with them. So the biggest thing out of all of this is that the Dallas Cowboys need to get healthy, and this is a final game to get this secondary together. We have seen Nashawn Wright take steps to get better, and he's definitely shown he's better at this moment, most definitely, than Kelvin Joseph. Deron Bland, he's been great, especially with what we've been asking him to do. Trevon Diggs is doing his thing. Now, Micah, I think I'm okay with sitting Micah for this game. I need this guy to be fully healthy and ready to go, and this is something that not a lot of people have talked about. I think the additions of Jonathan Hankins and LVE and getting the secondary on the back end right will very much so assist the Cowboys long term in the postseason if they do go on a run. Why? Because I think having those guys back will aid in the pass rush. And I've talked about this. Statistically speaking, the Cowboys are a better run defense type of team with Hankins in there, and with LVE in there, I think that your linebackers are not going to get as cooked as much. But we're kind of starting to see Damone Clark getting more snaps, right? That's huge. I'm not a fan of Anthony Barr, and please, for the love of God, if I see him out there and he starts getting cooked, we all know what's going to happen. But this is the get-right game for the Cowboys once and for all before that's it, right? This is kind of the final rough draft before we have to start putting together that, thing that actually counts grade-wise. And so it's important that the Dallas Cowboys, number one, get out of Washington healthy. Then number two, win the game, and we'll see how things go from there. My expectation would be, If the Cowboys are up 20 plus points or the vibe of the game is showing that it's an insurmountable lead for Washington, pull your starters and let's get ready to go on to Tampa or whoever. I would say for those that are watching the game, let's assume that the Cowboys are going to Tampa and whatever happens afterwards happens. But we're going to be scoreboard watching. You might actually see on the screen when you're watching the game, you might see how the other games are going. And this is exactly what happened last season, right? And again, it was until the last final game where all of the seeding worked itself out. So again, I do think that's what we're in store for. We only have, realistically, 3, including the Cowboys game, we have 3 games to watch. We have Arizona and San Francisco, and finally Philadelphia and the Giants. If those games go our way, we could see the Cowboys have a first-round bye, and we're getting our guys back fully healthy. If we have Philadelphia loss, then that means that we win, we're going to be playing at home as the NFC East champion with the 2nd seed, whoever is the 7th seed winner out of Seattle, Detroit, or Green Bay. Which I know there's a lot of people talking about the boogeyman crap, but I don't care. Now, if we end up as the 5th seed, right, and we could see the fact of the matter being that, you know what, let's say Philadelphia gets the 2 seed or San Francisco gets the 2 seed, right? They're going to be playing against a team in most likely Aaron Rodgers where they have, if we're going to go off of the number thing, people will be talking about that. So I don't want to get super, super long-winded, but I do appreciate you sticking around for this entirety of the video. But to end this thing off, once again, stay fully healthy, and let's get this game over with, and let's move on to whoever's in front of us. I don't care who it is, guys. We got to take care of business, and it starts after this week. For all I give a shit about, the Cowboys playoffs started back in Jacksonville. And I'm not just saying because they lost that. It's because there's the high-pressure situation of winning on the road against good teams. And so far, the Cowboys are on that track to come into the postseason with some wins, with certain players playing a certain way. So we're hoping we can close out this season strong. Once again, if you have not subscribed to this channel, I highly recommend you do so for the 90 percentile there. Hit the like button, hit the notification bell, all that other stuff, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Have a good one, guys. Goodbye.